Well, if you didn't know it was spring, all you had to do is go outside, see the pollen flying on your cars, and also recollect last week we were busier than the dickens. This week, we'll see. Let's talk about in this Tuesday edition of the Texas Weather Roundup. Good morning, I'm Texas Storm Chasers Baldy and Chief David Reimer. It is Tuesday, the 8th of April. See, I can have word strokes too. Good news, at least we're not doing the yawn meter, but give it time, I'm sure that can happen too. It is Tuesday, the 8th of April, 2025. I'm Texas Storm Chasers Baldy and Chief David Reimer. We are dealing with not a whole lot, which I am very happy to say because last week was a bit much, not only in Texas, but across a good chunk of the eastern two-thirds of the United States. I think the Mid-South and the Tennessee Valley dealt with enough severe weather last week to put them above average for the entire year. Unfortunately for them, it's early April, which means they're far from done, and guess what? That goes for us as well. Let's take a look at the high-res rapid refresh model for today, tonight, into Wednesday. Severe clear is the story of the day. Slight winds out of the south, but even that isn't much to write home about, which in early April is a blessing, especially after the windy March we had. As we go into tonight and Wednesday, guess what? You're going to be hard-pressed to find a cloud in the state of Texas. This program isn't broken. It just means we're not going to have a whole lot to talk about over the next few days. That being said, we are going to see the risk of wildfires increase across the western two-thirds, about the western half of the state. Let's go with that, especially along and west of Interstate 35. Today, high to very high fire danger, northwest Texas, the Panhandle, West Texas, the Concho Valley, the Big Country, North Texas, the Permian Basin, the Edwards Plateau, into the Big Bend, the Trans-Pecos, Davis, Guadalupe Mounds, though that will be moderated some by a green up. As we go into tomorrow, we're going to be a little more oomphy-doomphy on the wildfire danger, and that means very high to extreme fire danger. Western North Texas, the Hill Country, into the Edwards Plateau, the Rio Grande Plains. Y'all didn't see as much rain as we would have liked over the last week, and even with that, we're going to see drying out. It is going to be drier than a popcorn fart, and pretty warm as well, so we'll have to keep an eye out for fire danger on Wednesday. Please don't set the county on fire by being a dum-dum. Thursday, fire danger high across the western third to the western half of Texas. So, even though we had some beneficial precipitation last week, guess what? Our fire season is not done, at least across the western half of the state. And of course, you know what? If we end up being in the 90s and triple digits, it'll take all of 5 days for everything to dry out. We'll be burning statewide again. So, hopefully that's not what we're doing soon. But, well, sometimes Mama Nature is going to be rather rude. All right, going into Thursday and late week, guess what? Severe clear continues. This is one of those rare situations in April where we're going to have about a full week of less active weather. I almost said the Q word, but, well, we've learned not to say the Q word, even if the weather can be described using the Q word. If you don't know what the Q word is, I'm sure the comments section will be filled with it because I said it a bunch last week and San Antonio ended up with an inadvertent hailstorm. So the good news is, again, even through the weekend, we're going to have beautiful weather. So today through at least Sunday, the weather's going to be beautiful. As we go into Sunday, though, we will start to see an uptick in cloud cover across the state. Monday, that might start our next series of active days across the southern United States. It's far from a guarantee, but it does look like the upper-level jet stream is going to begin returning to an active state across the southern United States beginning Monday of next week, meaning, well, in about a week, it looks like we're going to start getting a little busy again. Specifics, don't bother asking for them at this time, right? Just enjoy the fact for about the next 6 days, we are going to have beautiful weather across the state of Texas. Forecast rain totals over the next week, and this technically does go through next Monday, the 14th of April. Guess what? Not a drop of rain in Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, barely any precipitation in Kansas, Nebraska, Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, Utah, Nevada, California, and most of the precipitation will be focused the Pacific Northwest and across the eastern quarter of the United States, the Interstate 95 corridor from Florida all the way up through the Carolinas into Delmarva, the Mid-Atlantic, the northeastern United States, up into New England. We, zero zilch nada, so It's kind of rare we see that this time of year, and it's especially rare that we're not having some huge dust storm or windstorm because of it. So, hey, you know what? It's kind of a blessing. Kind of makes me concerned what we're going to be dealing with in the last 2 weeks of April, but for now, let's just enjoy the fact we're not doing tornado coverage every day. But without precipitation in the forecast over the next 7 days, guess what? We're still going to be dealing with pretty beautiful weather. And it's not going to be 500 degrees. If it was July, it'd probably be 110, but thankfully it's not July yet. Today's high temperatures, we're looking at mostly 70s and low 80s across the state of Texas. Sunny skies, hard-pressed to find a cloud. Tomorrow, warmer. We're going to be in the mid to upper 80s across the western half of the state. Low 90s certainly possible, especially in the Rio Grande Plains, Edwards Plateau. 70s everywhere else. As we go into Thursday, a little cooler up in the Panhandle, West Texas, with the 90s and some mid to upper 90s shunted down into the Edwards Plateau. South Texas, the Rio Grande Plains, and the Big Bend, it looks like we're going to be in the 90s in Austin and San Antonio going into Friday. You know what? Similar story, 70s and 80s across the state, low 90s down in South Texas, the Edwards Plateau, the Rio Grande Plains, and then on Saturday, it gets hot across the western half of the state with temperatures most likely in the upper 80s to middle 90s, still upper 70s to 80s eastern half of Texas. Similar story on Sunday. As we go into the extended range, here's the Climate Prediction Center's temperature outlook for the April 15th through 21st time frame. Guess what? Above average temperatures likely. Almost the entire continental United States. Precipitation outlook? Hey, look at that. Above average precipitation chances possible. The western half of the state, northern half of the state with near average chances or equal chances everywhere else in Texas. Well, that can either mean we're going to have beneficial rain chances or we're going to start dealing with severe thunderstorm chances. Maybe the dry line becoming a thing several days next week. Well, at least the western half of the state. Good for storm chasing, good for those who need rain, not so good for those who don't enjoy hail falling out of storms, but that's kind of what you're going to have to deal with in April and May in Texas, I'm afraid. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be it for your Tuesday edition of the Texas Weather Roundup. Thank you for joining us last week for severe weather coverage. My apologies for no video yesterday, but we were enjoying the fact it's a pretty beautiful week weather-wise, and we're also starting to look ahead to next week. So we'll be back bright and early tomorrow on Wednesday with your next edition of the Texas Weather Roundup. We appreciate all y'all joining us here on the Texas Weather Center YouTube channel. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button. It'll let you know when we publish new videos and do live severe weather coverage, and it really helps us out too in the magical YouTube algorithm land. If you enjoy our content, our forecast, hit that thumbs up button. It is free. That's it. I'm done yippity yapping. Y'all have a great day. God bless.